Hey guys, have you ever noticed that you cannot find shelled cashews in the grocery store? And I'm serious, next time you are there, go look. You'll find shelled peanuts or pistachios, but not cashews. And if you do find shelled cashews, do not touch them, do not eat them, because you will regret it. Now, I know you might be thinking that I'm overreacting, but if you ate these shelled cashews, what would happen is you would develop blisters in your mouth, and anywhere you would have touched that cashew, you're gonna start to feel very itchy and develop a rash. And that's because these cashews, they would contain a compound called urushiol, and urushiol is an irritant and an allergen. So if you eat or touch these raw cashews, you are going to trigger your immune system and have an allergic response. And if you've ever been exposed to poison ivy or poison oak, you're already pretty well acquainted with urushiol. So it's the same compound in cashews, in shelled cashews or raw cashews, that causes poison ivy or poison oak. And I remember I had poison ivy on my legs really bad as a kid. I was biking through a woods, and it kicks in like a couple hours later. By that evening, I could not stop itching my legs. So urushiol is not a fun compound. And in fact, a lot of my friends as adults, we were on a camping trip, and one of my friends, who I won't say his name, Kevin, led us off the hiking path, and almost everyone got poison ivy super bad. So this is not fun stuff, but most of us don't know that this urushiol is also in cashews, or cashews if they're not processed. Now, I know at this point some of you are thinking, well, I've eaten plenty of cashews and never had this urushiol problem. But let me take you back to where cashews come from so you can understand why you've been safe your whole life from urushiol. So the cashew nut we're familiar with, this actually grows on trees, a cashew tree. Well, I guess more specifically, the cashew nut grows on a cashew apple that grows on cashew trees. And I remember the first time I saw a cashew apple with the one nut attached, my mind was blown. I did not realize this is how cashews grew, and that there was such a thing as cashew apples. So let me know in the comments if you've ever heard of seen this before, because I kind of felt like I was lied to. I just thought the nuts somehow grew on trees. I didn't know there was this whole fruit thing. But anyways, cashew nuts, what they have at this point is a double layered shell that surrounds the edible kernel that we eat, we're familiar with. And the problem with this double layered shell is that in between the two layers is this oil, and that oil is where the urushiol is. So the urushiol is actually in this oil that's surrounded by the double layered shell. So what all cashew farmers do is they will process their cashew nuts to remove the urushiol before their product would ever make it into a consumer's house. And usually they have a couple ways of doing this. They'll for sure want to clean and wash the cashew nuts, but to release that oil, they might soak the nuts in an oil at really high temperatures, and that leaches out the oil from the shell. A second option is to use high heat, maybe use steam to try and break off or remove that shell really cleanly so that none of the oil would get in contact with the edible nut, but it would be a clean way to remove the whole shell. So it's these cashew farmers and workers that have been quietly protecting us from the dangers of raw cashews, almost so good that most of us have never even heard of these dangers. But something like raw or shelled cashews, that would be a huge public health hazard. So I'm curious, let me know in the comments if this surprised you that raw cashews can actually be so harmful. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you next time.